The 7 steps to build any champion in Raid Shadow Legends and turn them into an absolute god. Well, almost any champion apart from Yaga. Step number 1, really simple. Whenever you're building a new champion, right, I'm going to click on my husk right here. You want to go into filters in your gear and in your artifact storage, and you want to go to fitting room. Okay, you should never ever just be slamming gear on a champion to see where the stats go. If there's no free gear removal event, it's going to cost you silver to remove these artifacts. Not a good idea. Whereas instead, if you use the fitting room, you can go ahead and try on pieces of gear like so, and you can actually see where the new stats are going to fall on the champ before you ever equip any of these pieces of gear. This allows you to do things like aim for 100% crit rate, for example, on your damage dealers, or make sure that you're hitting enough accuracy on your debuffers. All of that good stuff, right, before you ever hit the equip button. Very important that using the fitting room, you'd be astounded at how many people don't use the fitting room, man. It's kind of crazy. Make sure that you are not one of those people. And speaking of new players, actually nobody was speaking of new players, but I am right now. If you're looking to start off a new Raid Shadow Legends account and get off to an incredibly good free start on your new account, man, with a free legendary champ, whole bunch of free epic champions as you level up your account as well, all you gotta do, man, for a fresh start at Raid is click on my beginner promo link, which is down below the top of the video description box. Hit that link, use it to create a new Raid account, man. You'll grab Elnaril as your free starter legendary champ as soon as you are done with the in-game tutorial, and all the other epics that you get with this promo link will filter on in as you level up your account, man. Best beginner promo link going. This right here is the webpage that you're going to be using to create a new Raid account once you've clicked on the link down below. And yeah, you'll grab Elnaril in your inbox once the tutorial is done. That's how you know that that beginner link has worked, man. So if you're looking for a new free-to-play adventure or something like that, that beginner promo link is the way to do it. Step number 2 in our checklist, we've actually kind of alluded to it a little bit already, is does this champion need accuracy? Okay, if your champion lends any kind of negative effect on the enemy that is not damage, right? Anything. Things like provoke debuffs, things like 10 meter decrease, right? If you're decreasing the enemy's 10 meter, that requires accuracy. Stealing enemy buffs, removing enemy buffs, landing stun debuffs, all of this crap is going to require accuracy, right? If a champion requires accuracy to do their job, then accuracy is always the number 1 stat that you need on that champion until they have enough accuracy to clear the content that you're currently trying to clear on them. How much accuracy do you actually need on a champion? That varies a hell of a lot, but an easy way to tell it in the early game, at least once you're getting your bearings in Raid, is when you're clearing your dungeon stages. If I just go to my normal stage dungeons real quick, for every dungeon stage that you're clearing, you need 10 more accuracy on your guys. If you're clearing stage 10 dragon, you need 100 accuracy on like your poisoners and HP burners and all of that kind of stuff. If you're clearing stage 16, 160 accuracy. Stage 23, 230, so on and so forth. It's a nice sort of like hard and fast rule while you get your bearings with how much accuracy you're gonna need. But you do want to make sure that you're not overcapping on accuracy as well, right? Going like way overboard at the expense of other stats. For example, speed, which number 3 on our checklist is gonna be speed is the best stat in the game, and basically every single champion in this game should be in speed boots. Pretty much. There are some exceptions to that rule, but like 95% of champs in this game are going to be wearing speed boots, right? Speed on boots, or rather boots, are the only artifact type in the game that can roll speed as their primary stat, so make sure you're collecting basically all 5-star or higher quality speed boots on your account. Even champions that you happen to build out with attack percentage boots, for example, instead of speed primary stat boots, should still be fast enough that they're not moving glacially slow, right? For example, my Karate Fox Hunter is still sitting at about 170 speed. 160 speed should be like a minimum even for your slowest damage dealer champs on your account. And some people would say that 160 speed, even that, is too slow for their big slow damage dealer nukers. It depends on what stage of the game you're in. Now, the opposite, of course, is going to be true for your debuffers and your buff champions, right? And your speed leaders, champions that are going to be boosting your 10 meter and stuff on your account. You basically can't get enough speed on some champions, and aiming for like 350 plus speed becomes more and more common the more developed your account gets for your support champions. But even your nukers, yeah, just don't have them being statues. So those are the rules for accuracy and speed. Beyond that, man, we've got checklist chapter number 4, right? Know what stats you are actually looking to prioritize on each champion depending on their champion type. So I'm going to go ahead and pop up on screen right now just a whole boatload of numbers, which, don't worry, you don't need to pause the video or anything to look at all of these right now. I'm also going to have these pasted down below in the description box below this video. So if you want to pop up in the description box and refer to these stat priorities, at any time during the video, you can go ahead and do that. My goal with these stat priorities is to cover like 95% of the champion types that exist in Raid Shadow Legends. There are some outliers, there's some very, very unique champions that you might build to like solo bosses and stuff like that. They're going to have like little wacky builds going on. But these 6 champion types, for the most part, are going to cover most of the champions that exist in Raid Shadow Legends, and should at least be a pretty good ballpark figure of the kind of stats that you should be prioritizing on each champion type. So with those 4 kind of preliminary checklist steps out of the way, we're finally ready to start building our champs, except we're not, right? Before I get into some examples on this, what you actually want to do is begin building the most powerful champions on your account first, okay? This is especially important in like the early and early mid game, right? Where your roster maybe you've only got like a dozen level 60s on your account. Maybe you haven't even got that, you know? If you're at that earlier stage on your account, you probably don't have the best storage of just like god tier artifacts saved up on your account. You know what I'm saying? You're probably struggling a little bit to optimally gear all of your champions, which is totally okay. It's totally normal. But what that does mean is that you want to take the best champions on your account and give those suckers the best possible gear on your account and prioritize getting their builds absolutely just optimized as hell, or as optimized as you can possibly get them to get more value out of these champs, right? We talk about the champions like Estrid on my account, for example, that I just use everywhere, right? I use her in Hydra, I use her in Arena, I use her in a bunch of my dungeon teams. She's just a great support champion. You best believe I'm building her out to be like super fast, great accuracy, solid defensive stats. She's also fully booked as well, right? Just because a champion's legendary doesn't mean that they should just automatically get all of your best gear. Some champions like Estrid, she has like quite long cooldowns and stuff unless she gets fully booked, and so it's quite important for a lot of legendaries that they're fully booked on up. If you don't have any fully booked legendaries, there's a pretty good chance that a support champion like an Ugo or something, like an epic quality support champion that you do have fully booked and you're using a lot of areas of the game, is actually your most impactful champion and probably should get your best gear until the Ugo's replaced by like a better legendary or something, you know, which kind of doesn't happen with Ugo because Ugo's so good. So it's not a great example. But I think I've made the point, right? Make sure that you're putting your best gear on your best champions, which usually means level 60s. You use them everywhere and they're fully booked. All right, so I've gone ahead and I've stripped Morag Bronzelock completely naked in our dreams, right? But I'm going to go ahead and start building out the Morag now. It's like an example build. We're going to cover all kinds of extra stuff in this as well. We're not done just yet, man, with all of the tippage. The next tip that I've got, man, is if you are okay, first of all, we've got to check out Morag's kit, right? We check out all of her skills. She's got like a double hit at A1. She's got an attack all enemies. She places strengthen buff, good stuff. And she brings an ally attack. What you'll notice with Morag's kit is that she doesn't place any negative effects on the enemy. No decreased 10 meter, no decreased defense or whatever. She doesn't need accuracy at all. And so great, that makes her quite a simple damage dealer champion to build. And yes, I said damage dealer. You also notice that a lot of her skills are just about smacking the hell out of enemies, okay? She's to be built as a damage dealer. She also brings some counterattack action in her passive as well. And so yeah, we want to be trying to pump damage with Morag. She's getting off counterattacks. Yeah, she's just a little beast like that. So even though she's a defense-based champion, that doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, we've got to build a tanky or something like that. She's going to be tanky anyway because we're going to build her with a lot of defense. But as a new player in particular, don't be thinking that just because a champion is built as like an HP champ or a defense champ and they've got that label assigned to them, that they're necessarily like a support or a provoker or whatever, you know. You can get HP-based nukers in the game and stuff like that, right? You'll also notice as well as if I click on the Morag's skills, you get the little label here at the bottom of the tooltip that says damage based on, would you know it, defense. So the more defense we build on the Morag, the more damage she's going to do. So the stat priority for the Morag is going to be 100% crit rate, as much crit damage as possible, then defense percentage, and then speed. So even though we're building Morag as a damage dealer, attack does absolutely nothing for Morag. Like, it actually doesn't do anything at all. It doesn't impact the damage of any of their skills, and that's actually quite important to note. Again, as a newer player, don't think that attack just means more damage. Not necessarily. For attack-based champions, sure, but not for a Morag. So, when we're building out the Morag, man, next thing that we're going to be starting off with here, I guess is like checklist part number like 6, I think. Always start off your builds with the gauntlets, man. The gauntlets, for damage dealers in particular, are the most important piece to start off with, man. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to look for gauntlets, and we are going to look for crit damage main stat gauntlets, okay? In the early game, in order to hit 100% crit rate, because that's like #1 priority on your nukers, your out-and-out nuker damage dealers, you might need to go for crit rate gauntlets to hit 100% crit because your gear's just not that good and you need to rely on that big main stat crit rate stat dump in order to reach 100%. Fair enough, but ideally, you're eventually going to get to a point on your account where you can go crit damage as the main stat on your gloves and find the crit rates from other places, right? From other substats on other artifacts. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to the fitting room right here, and I'm going to prioritize picking pieces from sets that just make a lot of sense to me, right? Slayer pieces, for example, could be pretty good for us over here. Things like lethal pieces could be quite good, as well as crit damage pieces could be quite good. Another caveat to bear in mind is as you're building your champs, especially in the early game, don't worry too much about sets. Don't try and just say, oh my god, bro, I've got, for example, I've got some lethal gear. I'm gonna do my best to put like 4 pieces of lethal on this champion. If you're very much in the early game, you probably don't have very good lethal gear, and even though lethal is a fantastic set to run on your champs, like ignore defense and crit rate is unreal, very, very good for a full set. If the pieces suck, don't just try and shoehorn them onto the champ, okay? You gotta have 4 good pieces of lethal gear before you go and do that, right? Stats over sets every day of the week in the early game, okay? Getting good, like, 4-piece sets equipped on champs is something to worry about later on. So as for crit damage gauntlets, I can go for either these suckers or these suckers. I think I'm going to give a try with these lethal gauntlets instead, just because the pink stat rolled into some defense percent, which technically for Morag is a little bit better. We're going to get 80% crit damage from this. We do have some accuracy on this. That's obviously a little bit of a waste, like it's not doing anything on the Morag, but overall, the substats are okay. Do we just opt for these ones after all? You know what, man? These gauntlets actually have 13% crit rate, so this is going to help us hit that 100% crit rate goal that we are looking to hit. And I'm always keeping an eye on the stats over here on the right side anytime I make a change to my gear. Next up, chestplate. Okay, chestplate is like the next best piece to start keying on in. Now, of course, chestplate, you can roll defense percent, attack percent, HP percent. Morag being a defense-based champion, the choice here is clear. We're going to go for a defense percent main stat chest piece. Once again, because we try to get a lethal set working here on the Morag, I'm going to go ahead and see if there are actually, there's just no lethal pieces at all. So I can't go for that. Let's take a look at the Slayer pieces, and I guess we could also take a look at... Nah, it's really just the Slayer pieces on my account, huh? Well, I'm really liking the look anyway of this Slayer chest that we're rocking right here. Double crit damage roll, a little bit more crit rate here as well. Good stuff. You also get an extra 5% crit rate for just having 1 piece of Slayer gear equipped anyway, so that's why we're going to be gaining 10 crit rate from equipping this sucker. Slam it on. Job's a good one. Next step. Go for the boots, okay? It's important that you look for items in this order. Why? I didn't actually mention that, man. You want to go for the gloves, chest, and then boots when gearing up your champs first, because the stats have a lot of variance on these pieces, okay? Generally speaking, it's much easier to find a weapon, a helmet, and a shield that can fit your build, because the primary stats on weapon, helmets, and shields are fixed, right? Weapons are always attack, headgear is always health, shields are always defense, and so filling out your build with those easier to find pieces is a lot easier. You want to get the crappy and like difficult to sort of nail down pieces equipped on your champ first. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what we can find in terms of boots. We're going to look for speed as the primary stat here, obviously. Ideally, we've got some lethal pieces lying around. Okay, these don't look so good. The substats on this are not great. Double flat HP roll is not great. Another good rule to bear in mind is that percentage-based stats are always better than flat stats on your gear. So this flat HP roll is like the worst thing we could possibly get. Stats here are just not great. But what we do have down here, actually just behind my camera, are a 5-star set of Slayer boots that got a double crit rate roll. Again, that's going to do a lot for getting our crit rate up towards that 100% target that, of course, we are aiming for. But before I go ahead and try and fill that out, the next piece of gear that you actually want to equip, you want to go on over to your accessories next. Because, again, we're starting with the toughest pieces to find first, right? The next toughest piece to find, for your nukers at least, is going to be your amulets. Why? Because your nukers they're prioritizing crit damage, right? Once you've got 100% crit rate, you're trying to get as much crit damage as you possibly can. Amulets are the only item in the game, apart from gauntlets, that can roll into crit damage as the main stat. And oh, would you look at that? It's almost like I knew that it would be there waiting for me, dude. We got our crit damage amulet sitting here, specific to the dwarf faction. It did triple roll into accuracy, which is a big old waste, but that's so much crit damage that, frankly, we don't care so much about that. We're going to go ahead and get the amulet equipped on up. Next accessory that we're going to get on in is going to be the banner. Banners are the next most important because banners are the only accessory type that can roll into speed as a substat, which being like the best stat in the game and useful on basically every champion in the game. You want to go ahead and get your banner keyed in next. As luck would have it, it's almost like I've just went ahead and unequipped all of Morag's gear before starting recording this. We have a defense main stat banner with a bit of defense percentage on the substat, double speed roll. Oh, just absolutely excellent. It might only be a 5-star banner, but it's a hell of a lot better than any of the other 6-star banners that I've got in terms of what Morag is looking for, with defense being her primary stat again. So we're going to go ahead and toss that one in. Now we're going to go back to our regular artifacts, and we're going to start to lock in now on the easier pieces to acquire with a focus on getting our crit rate up to 100%. Very, very important. Quick tip for doing this, by the way, in the early game is very, very simple. What you want to do is, like if you're just starving to try and get 100% crit on your champs and you don't want to sift through 1,000 artifacts looking for this crap, what you want to do is key in weapons, helmets, and shields, okay? Then you want to scroll on down a little bit. You want to go to substats, hit the crit rate button right here. I'm going to close that real quick. And then you want to go to priority stats, set crit rate priority as super, super high, then scroll all the way down to the bottom of your gear filters and hit hide set filters. Boom. Now we have every single shield, helmet, and weapon on our account ordered in terms of how much crit rate they've got. And so now we can just engineer a build to get exactly 100% crit rate without any real fuss at all. Now, of course, what we're actually looking for here, like I don't actually need to do this on the Morag, because what we are actually looking for here is just lethal pieces. I need 4 lethal pieces to go ahead and get this Morag where she needs to be in terms of getting that lethal set activated. And so I'm just going to go ahead and dig around. This shield looks really good. Defense percent, crit rate, absolutely excellent for what the Morag is looking for, so we're going to go ahead and throw that one on. Between the 2 helmets, we've got some pretty good options here, to be honest, but I think I like the legendary helmet over the mythical, just because it brings a little bit of an extra speed roll. Yes, it gives some health percent, which isn't super ideal, but it's fine. Morag actually brings an ally attack skill, of course, on an A3, so having the Morag move faster than a regular, just out-and-out nuker is actually a really, really good thing, because the ally attack is so bloody strong. We might actually be in a position here where we overcap on crit rate by quite a bit, which is pretty funny. So we actually need a weapon that doesn't give any crit rate, if we can avoid it, because we just don't need it. We're going to be drastically overcapped. I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and throw this weapon on. This is going to overcap us like crazy. Then I'm going to switch out the shield to this shield right here, which is rolled into a whole lot of crit damage, which of course is a great stat on the Morag as well. Go ahead, try that on instead, and boom, that actually dials our crit damage down just a little bit. Lovely. And then for the finishing touch, all that is left is the ring, which... do we just grab this sucker? So unless I can roll up this ring and get ourselves like a double or a triple defense percent roll, which we failed to do immediately, then I guess we're gonna go ahead and settle with this happy little Slayer ring. And this would be the Morag build that I would then go ahead and save. Morag 2, we'll call it. I'm actually quite curious, man. If I just go ahead and equip this, how different is this build to the build that I already had on the Morag? Have I just like tweaked their build or just built exactly the same thing? Okay, I did actually change their build a little bit, apparently. Not our accessories, but we did actually make a change of helmet on the Morag, man. Which one's better? And this is another thing you can do as well. You can make multiple builds on the same champion, and then you can try them on interchangeably like so, and just kind of keep note of the stat differences between the two. So the old Morag build that I currently had equipped on before recording this video actually has her moving a lot slower, but she gains like 200 defense with the older build. I think I actually prefer the new build. I prefer gaining that 12 speed, and basically the crit damage and crit rate stats stay kind of the same. I think I'm fine to stay with the new build. You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and actually just delete the old Morag build, and we're going to use this rebuild that we did right here as the new Morag build. Now, yeah. That's basically step by step, man, how I would build a champion from the ground up in exactly that order almost every single time. One difference, when it comes to building support style champions, of course you're looking for things like HP percent and defense percent on the gloves and on the chest. With support type champions, debuffers, buffers, that kind of thing, I'd always start out with the boots first when I'm building those champs, because speed is key. Getting them fast as hell and with the accuracy and stuff that you need, but getting the boots sorted first, a good pair of 6-star boots if I can, would be my focus first on those champions, and then I'd build out the other pieces. But I'd actually start with the boots with the support, whereas with a damage dealer, Nuker, I'd start with the gauntlets instead, because that crit damage is like the backbone of the build for a lot of these direct damage nukers. And so there you have it, man. So the reason I made this video is because there's been a lot of account takeover requests coming in recently on the Discord, which the Discord server's down below in the description box, by the way. Feel free to come along and join up and make an account takeover submission and all of that good stuff. It's great. But there've been a lot of account takeover submissions recently asking for, oh man, can you rebuild my champs? My champion builds are all over the place. I don't know how to build a nuker. How much should I prioritize keeping this gear set or that gear set or blah, 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 you know, a lot of questions about champion builds. And so I thought I'd just address a lot of them by, well, authoring this video, you know. Hopefully this video is like a little bit of a catch-all for how to build champs optimally, and it covers most of the champion types in the game, as long as you're following, again, the step priorities that are down below in the description box and that I showed a bit earlier on in the video. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you also enjoy this one, man. Little bit of a long drawn out one, but I hope it's helpful for a lot of people. If it was, make sure you hit a like on the video and subscribe and all of that good stuff. And remember that also down below in the description box, man, there's a lot of good stuff in the description box, dude. You can find my beginner promo link at the top of the description box, man. Hit that link, use it to sign up to Raid, man, to get Elnaril and a whole bunch of free epic champions on your new Raid account to start off a new raid adventure the best way possible. Thanks for stopping by, and I'm going to catch all of you all just a tad bit later, man.